Hello, this is Gary at Jack Raven Bushcraft. Thank you for watching our video. This week I'm going to talk a little around strangling your axe. Strangling your axe or choking your axe is when you have your hand up here, so directly below the head of your axe. When I'm teaching knife skills on many of our courses, I will often talk about the relationship between power and control. So essentially, the more you have of one, the less you have of the other. And with an edge tool of any description, we want to have control over it. So that means we need to be very cautious about how, when and where we use power. So an example with the axe. If I have my hand down here, just below or just above the knob, well, I can kind of give it an almighty swing there. I've got lots of power going on, but I haven't really got an awful lot of control. So for instance, if I wanted to do a bit of carving, I would be really quite sort of wary. In fact, I wouldn't at all have my hands anywhere near this position. I want to do something else, another technique. And so that is around strangling your axe. So as I said, having your hand right here just underneath the head. This brings up the question of collars around axes. So I see lots of people on various social media platforms, they put a collar around their axe here. So that might be wrapping bits of paracord around it, it might be wrapping bits of leather around it. And generally the reason given for that is in case of an overstrike. So an overstrike is, so if I'm splitting a bit of wood like so, and I miss the log and I catch my handle here of the axe, so it's to protect the axe from that kind of damage. So I guess there's at least two things that I'd want to say on that. First up is just practice making sure that you don't overstrike, that you don't miss the target. So if you're not quite sure on that, or you are having issues with hitting the target, I've got a video that I did previously on splitting firewood with an axe onto a stump, so take a look at that. It's got some hints and tips in there about how you can avoid overstriking and making sure that you do hit the target, therefore negating the need to have a collar. The other thing I'd like to say on this point is, for me, I spend more of my time using an axe doing intricate work, fine work, detailed work, so carving, that kind of thing. And so having a collar around there where my hand is positioned here, what I've found is that it can just cause you blisters on this part of your hand. So for me, a collar is something that I wouldn't bother with. In fact, I would say that it is more hindrance than help. So hands up here like so. When you're using your axe like this kind of up and down motion, so if your arm is just acting like a piston, it's going straight up and down, then you're not making the most effective use of the cutting edge on your axe. But the other thing you're going to find is that the impact just travels straight up through your forearm into your elbow, and it can really hurt after a while. So this kind of thing, this pumping up and down, it isn't the way to go. What we want to do is to try to get a little bit more of a rocking motion going on with the axe. So you know, I'm not holding it so that my knuckles are turning white. I've got a fairly relaxed grip going on here because I want it to be able to pivot. Now, this thing about it pivoting, it means the axe has to be balanced. Again, on various social media platforms, you see lots of people asking, what's the best axe to buy? And people, you know, they respond and they're trying to be helpful and with their suggestions and their comments. But for me, ultimately, what's good for one person isn't good for somebody else, because we're all different. We all have different size hands and different thickness and lengths of fingers and different size forearms, all of these kinds of things. So for each and every one of us, what feels right, what feels balanced is going to be different. So my suggestion would be, if you're able, to get to somewhere where you can try out various axes. So for instance, on our own axe workshop that we run, we bring in a bunch of different axes that people can try out, so that they're able to kind of make that informed decision. So I use the Gransford Brook Small Hunter's Axe. For me, I find this nicely balanced. Yeah, I can just kind of get this nice kind of pivoting motion going on. So just take the mask off there, and just got a little bit of sycamore here that we can work on. So first things, what I want to do is hold the piece of wood so that my fingers are out the way. So holding it like this and then chopping down, that's a bad idea. I want my fingers completely out the way, so you know I can be holding it with the palm of my hand. Ordinarily, if I was carving, I would actually have it. I've got a nice groove into the stump there, but I'm stood the wrong way around to be able to make best use of it. There we go. So right, so and now I can just be chopping down like so. But you can see that I'm kind of I'm getting this kind of movement going on, and what this does, it means that this bottom corner of the cutting edge makes contact, and then I get a sweep through. So the axe is actually taking a slice off now, rather than trying to chop a chunk off. It's actually slicing off a piece of wood, and slicing is a much more efficient and effective means of cutting for a cutting tool. Knives or axes, regardless, all of them are going to work better on a slice than they are on a chop. So just trying to get this kind of slicing motion going on there is going to make your axe work that much more effective, that much more efficient. Right, so the other half of it, the other side, well, I can chop down to the halfway point, turn the piece of wood around, and then just go on the second half. There's a big old knot there. That's going to give me a bit of a issue, so it just needed a decent swing, and off it came. So that's strangling your axe, or choking your axe. Hopefully, guys, it's something that you will be able to take with you onto your own bushcraft adventures, something that you will be able to put into practice, something that you can use. I will endeavour to get more content out at some point next week. Make sure you don't miss it. So if you haven't yet subscribed to either our blog or our YouTube channel, then please do so. In the meantime, take care, stay safe.